The Ukrainian Armed Forces will decide for themselves whether to launch a new offensive without regard to US President Donald Trump's position on the matter. A Ukrainian military officer explained, "It's entirely possible that the resources are available for a 10 to 15 kilometer breakthrough, but for a greater one, other considerations will be needed." Trump has spoken about making some important decisions in the context of the Ukrainian Armed Forces' new offensive, but this couldn't be standard show-offs, said Ihor Lutsenko, a military officer and co-founder of the Aerial Reconnaissance Support Center, in an interview with UNIAN. However, the US can help with tangible actions, not just words. In addition to Tomahawk missiles, the Ukrainian Armed Forces need air defense systems to counter aircraft-carrying KABs on the front line and a large number of HIMARS missiles, which will break through Russian positions in a certain area. Lutsenko explained that at this stage of the war, both the Ukrainian and Russian armed forces could well have reserves that they could deploy if necessary. From this perspective, the Ukrainian army could stage something similar to the breakthrough in the Kursk region and advance 10 to 15 kilometers into Russian fortifications. He believes that Ukrainian Armed Forces Commander Oleksandr Syrsky can be expected to devise an interesting operation. Could Ukraine have the potential to simulate some kind of unexpected Kursk 2, say at a range of 10 to 15 kilometers? I think so. Yes, that's possible, he said. At some time, to conduct a serious offensive, a significant amount of time must be spent on planning and the creation of a strong assault force. It's likely that such work has already been done, the military official said. At the same time, he noted that it would be a good idea to improve mobilization and recruit 1,000 to 150,000 soldiers. This would allow them to replace the frontline troops and create a strike force. Hypothetically, the Ukrainian state is currently capable, with the help of the General Staff or some other mechanisms, of accumulating the necessary resources for such an offensive because it has already succeeded once. Lutsenko concluded. It's worth noting that in October, US President Donald Trump stated the possibility of a new offensive by the Ukrainian Armed Forces. According to the head of the White House, for this to happen, Ukraine would like to receive more weapons, including Tomahawk missiles, which are abundant in the Pentagon's stockpiles. During the almost 4 years of war, there were approximately 3 offensives by the Ukrainian Armed Forces. The first offensive by the Ukrainian Armed Forces took place in the fall of 2022. The defense forces managed to liberate the right bank of the Kherson region and part of the Kharkiv region. The second offensive began in early summer 2023. In June, the Russians blew up the Kakhovka hydroelectric power station, and Ukrainian units attempted to advance from Zaporizhia toward Tokmak, Melitopol, and Mariupol. The third offensive took place in the summer of 2024. Ukrainian Armed Forces brigades broke through the border in the Kursk region, took control of Sudza, and almost reached Kursk and the Kurchatov nuclear power plant.
President Donald Trump clarified Thursday that he won't send U.S. troops into Gaza after threatening Hamas. "It's not going to be us," Trump told reporters. "We won't have to. There are people very close, very nearby that will go in and they'll do the trick for easily, but under our auspices." According to Associated Press, Trump earlier on Thursday in a Truth Social post warned Hamas, "We will have no choice but to go in and kill them if internal bloodshed persists in Gaza." The grim warning from Trump came after he previously downplayed the internal violence in the territory since a ceasefire took hold last week. Trump also said he'll meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Hungary within 2 weeks to try to resolve the war in Ukraine. Trump spoke to reporters after what he called a very productive call with Putin, during which the issue of supplying Tomahawk missiles to Ukraine was raised. Asked if Putin tried to persuade the US not to provide Ukraine with the long-range missiles, Trump quipped, "Well, of course. What do you think he's going to say? Please sell Tomahawks? Is he gonna say, please sell those Tomahawks, I really appreciate it. The call came ahead of Trump's meeting on Friday at the White House with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who has been pressing Trump to sell Kyiv the missiles that would allow Ukrainian forces to strike deeper into Russian territory. Zelensky has argued such strikes would help compel Putin to take Trump's calls for direct negotiations between Russia and Ukraine to end the war more seriously.
Yeah, please.
Mr. President, today you issued a threat against Hamas on Truth Social. What has changed?
And what was said? Go ahead.
You said that they continue keep killing innocents in Gaza, that if that continues, the United States will go after them.
I issued a strong statement, that's right.
They used to be gangs, and now you're saying innocents. What made you think they're innocents now?
Well, I'm looking at what's happening, and that wasn't the deal that was made, and we'll see what happens. It's calmed down. It's a tough neighborhood, we know that. We have a commitment from them, and I assume they're going to honor that commitment. I hope they do. And I understand they brought back some additional bodies today. It's a rough deal when you think of it, right? Very rough. We have our hostages back completely. We were very lucky with that. But it's a tough situation. They brought back bodies today, as you probably know. But they also said they're going to behave. We're going to find out if they behave. If they behave good, if they don't behave, we'll take care of it. Yeah, please.
Following up on that, President,
I didn't say you. Your CNN fake news. Go ahead.
You said in your post that if they kept killing people in Gaza, we would have no choice but to go in and kill them. So do you mean U.S. forces would go in and take out Hamas?
No, I didn't say who would go in, but somebody will go in. It's not going to be us. We won't have to. There are people very close, very nearby that will go in. They'll do the trick very easily, but under our auspices.
Could I follow up? You also posted about your call with President Putin today, and you spoke about meeting in Hungary with him. Do you have a timeline or a date set for when?
Yeah, I would say within 2 weeks or so. Pretty quick. Marco Rubio is going to be meeting with his counterpart, as you know, Lavrov, and they'll be meeting pretty soon. They're going to set up a time and a place very shortly. Maybe it's already set up. They've already spoken. And I thought it was a very good phone call. I thought very productive. But I'll be meeting with President Putin, and we'll make a determination. Tomorrow I'm meeting with President Zelensky, and I'll be telling him about the call. I mean, we have a problem. They don't get along too well, those two, and it's sometimes tough to have meetings, so we may do something where we're separate but equal. We'll meet and talk to parties, but this is a terrible relationship the two of them have, and it's one of those things. I've seen things that nobody would believe, but this is one of them. So I'll be meeting. We're going to be meeting in Hungary. Viktor Orban is going to be hosting, and it's really something that's time, you know.
Right, but did President Putin try to dissuade you from selling Tomahawk missiles?
Well, of course. What do you think he's going to say? Please sell Tomahawks?
No, but did he give
Is he going to say, please sell those Tomahawks? I really appreciate it.